right. So, recently out, this is the 5e Ruins of Symbaroum system for Foundry. I wanted to have a quick look at it. It's early days, so it's the first release, but I'm sure there will be lots of development coming. I just wanted to have a look at how you first set it up. So let's see. Right now, I've cheated a little bit. I imported the core system, which is free, the core system, and I lined up the GM guide and the player's guide in the background. So let's enable those modules again. You go to your modules as usual after you've installed the 5e rule set. So this is all based on the 5e, and then the other things are just going over the top. So we're going to go to Ruins of Symbaroum, core. That gives you the updated character sheet and a few other things. And we're going to go for the GM guide, and we're going to go for the player's guide. So that will always reset itself. And there we're back. So the player guide imported. You're not actually importing a lot because most of the content goes into compendia and is kept there. So it's just an index you're importing for each of them. So that's number 1 done. And you can already see some maps in the background. Player guide and a nice getting started thing. Player's guide. Yeah, okay. There's a typo here. The bestiary is, this is not the bestiary. The bestiary is another module. But yeah, you see how it's all working here with the different indices. We're going to have a look at that in a minute. And what's included. So you have maps for Umbria and Davokar, and you've got some art, and you've got Thistlehold. So there's not a huge amount in here, but it's, the key here is all the background information about feats and about items and about spells that you don't have to key in yourself. If you want to key in yourself, and I've done this for a few systems myself, go ahead, be mad. But if you actually want to pay a few bucks here or there and get it all done by these guys down here, Matthew and Paul, it's definitely worth my time anyway, to not enter it, but to buy it. So I'm going to do the same with the GM guide, and you'll see it goes quite quickly. There we go. Everything has been imported. You get the splash screen. So that's basically the setup. Now, a couple of things on the character sheets. If I create a test character here, you can see that this is not quite the usual 5e sheet. There are a couple of modifications on here. For example, this corruption box here, where I'm pointing. That is a new rule mechanic, of course, so you need to have that in there. But a lot of this is the basic 5e. So if you go to sheet up here, you can actually change it for this character here and say I want to see the 5e. And there you go, there's your standard 5e sheet. But it has lost a little bit of information. So it has lost the corruption, the bit about the corruption. So if you want that back, again, go to sheet, change it to the Symbaroum 5e character. And there you are. So everything here works like you would expect. Yeah, so you can change your senses here. Oh, that's where dark vision goes. Look at that. Yeah, I was looking for that earlier. You can have proficiencies. That's all the stuff that you know already from 5e. And I just made a video on character creation where you can see me use this, or trying to blunder my way through it, using this setup to create a character. The bits that you get included here is the how to use, of course. So if you can always go back to it from the journal tab here. You can get the map pins. Yeah, okay. Useful, but not that exciting to show you different locations. We then have the indices for the player guide. Ruins of Symbaroum PG player guide. Paul always likes to abbreviate everything. So we've got the index here, for example, that basically is a table of content. It will take you through the different sections because it doesn't all get imported into the journal or into the items later on. This is actually really important to have these indices. So for example, if you want to read up about the calendar of Davokar, I think I've never seen it written up this nicely when I was looking to create my own calendar for it, but this is much easier. Yeah, surprised it's Prios Day with an E rather than Prios with an I, like the god is called, but interesting. Yeah, you can get the information here. I don't think, if you have simple calendar, I don't think the configuration is there. I need to ask this, guys. You will also get the character origins here. You get the general blurb, and then you can see that there are different subheadings. Yeah, and basically what they've done here is if you click on goblins, it opens the same. Oh, it doesn't. Okay. I thought it might actually open the same sheet and have a general link and jump down to it. Elves, goblins. Little is known about the origin of the goblins. Let's see. It's a different entry. Okay. This is probably more information. Yeah, this is for the character generation when you really need it, these individual pages. You have classes and feed, and you can see that they're all journal entries by the icon next to it. While you're creating a character, just as a pointer now, watch the other video if you want a full in-depth on this one. Use this index, because you can see here by the suitcases, these are items. So while you're creating a character and you're looking at Origin Elf, we'll talk you through what's included, what's needed, and you can just grab the things here from the side and pull them onto your character sheet. As you select the background, then you've got the background feature lined up with it. You pull them across, you read up on them, and then you have them on your character sheet. So this index is really useful. I'm not quite sure. I mean, one of the things I always like is to have everything in the items list, for example. So I can very easily control access rights for this. And if a character wants to buy a torch, I don't have to give it to them. They can just go and grab it, which you might be able to if you set your compendium to open, to accessible. But for example, if I go down here and say flash powder, yeah, this is an item, but it's not in the items list. So if you look here, my items list on the right, entirely empty. The journal is just the indices. The actors at this point are entirely empty because everything else is stored here in the compendium. And you've got the SRD 5e bits, and then you've got the ruins bits here. So if I have the items from the player guide, that's where they all are, but they're flat. So whether it's a weapon or whether it's a tool, whether it's a concoction, they're all in one flat list, but at least it's searchable. So if I make this available, maybe for the players, that might work. You also have in here the armor, and you have all the spells as items. Of course, you can look at the spells in the normal index as well. So if you go to the guide index, go a bit further down, resources, you've got the spell descriptions and listing. So if you just want to read it, this is much easier to do. Yeah, and again, you've got the links here to the items, so you can put them on the character sheet from here. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in here. There's a lot of content that you get for this. And as I said, I really would rather pay these guys a little bit of money to do all of this, because I have actually put most of Symbaroum in myself, and it takes a lot of hours. Let's just say that. Right, so that's the setup. As I said, I wanted to keep this bit short. So hopefully that was useful. Scenes, very briefly show you those. You have the covers, you've got the maps with or without key. I keep forgetting that you have to do this. Activate. Boom. There's a map, nice and sharp. Yeah. Key. And if I put the map notes on, you can see that they're map pinned. The dump always sounds great, and if you go into it, it's just at this point at least, it's just the maps. Pins, no description behind it. But some of them do. The Sun Temple has a bit of description. Yeah. I've created one of these myself with all the descriptions, and you've got Indaros. Oh, I actually heard somebody called Yindaros. I always called it Indaros. So the map for that is here. Again with the map pins. And you've got Kavosti, which is like the hometown of the Bavarians. Barbarians? It's almost the same thing. So yeah, that's Kavosti. Then we've got GM8, that's just the overall maps with or without hex. And then we've got the one scene you get for the built-in adventure. Don't want to go into that because that could be spoilery. You have a little bit of a roll table here as well. When you initially, the core system only has one, which is Marks of Corruption. And all the other ones come from the GM guide. So there's some of this is for random events, random dungeon creations, traps, etc. Yeah, so that's all there from the GM guide. I'm sure there are more maps and tables, etc. to come eventually. And the actors, sorry, cards. That's cards. Cards. There are no cards in there, and there's no music in there. But snoodling in the background is coming from my own desktop. Right. As I said, short overview. What are you getting? How to set it up? How to install it? The trick really is. Look in the compendium. If you installed it all and you think, where did it go? Why are the items empty? Use the index, look at the compendium, decide if you want to import it or not. Apparently it's not the done thing on D&D 5e. I hope that was useful for one or two of you. And if you like it, yeah, leave me a bell, whatever. Leave me a thumbs up, a comment, whatever you like. Anyway, have fun with it. And I'm